Dramatic escalation of the trade war as the U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that the United States will impose a sweeping 104% tariff on all Chinese goods effective on midnight 8th of April. The White House has confirmed the move, describing it as a response to what the U.S. has long criticized as China's unfair trade practices, including intellectual property theft and market manipulation.
Yesterday on social media to increase tariffs against China by an additional 50% in response to their retaliation. Has he signed anything in terms of an executive order, any documentation around that? Will that additional 50% go into effect tomorrow?
They will be going into effect at 12:01 a.m. tonight, so effectively tomorrow, yes.
Srinjoy is connected with us. Srinjoy, good morning. What does it mean? Is this a full-blown trade war that we are looking at? And what does this decision represent, especially when it comes to the sharpest increase in tariffs that has been seen between U.S. and China?
It's worse than a full-blown trade war. First of all, America and China are the two largest economies in the world. A 30 trillion economy and about an 18-19 trillion economy, respectively. Now, America imports about $490, $500 billion worth of goods to America. Now, who pays for those goods? The people of America pay for them. Now, if you impose a 104% tariff on all those goods, then what happens? Two things happen, actually. The first is, of course, all those goods become double in terms of cost. So that cost is largely borne by the American consumer, the American people. They will have to shoulder the burden temporarily at least. That's the first thing. Secondly, some of those things will become so expensive that the American people will not be able to afford it. So then American imports of Chinese goods will come down. Now, similarly, China has imposed similar tariffs on American goods, 34% or something. Now, then American goods will also become so expensive that the Chinese people will not buy it. So this is a very difficult situation for the people of both countries. And there is clearly no way out, because these are now, the positions of both countries are hardening. Let's not forget that China has already banned Hollywood movies, or threatened to. If that comes through, then also it is a loss of several $1 billion for Hollywood. So all of this is leading to enormous problems for the two largest economies of the world, and by far the largest. The next three are all less, 5 trillion or less: Japan, Germany, and India. Now, what does all this mean for India? The whole problem with is the fact that India faces a 27% tariff. Like China, which faces 104%, India's point is Indian goods, and of course fewer goods are Indian goods are imported by America than China's. They will become more expensive, and if they become more expensive, then they will fade out of the market. The only benefit is really what Economics 101 says is the Giffen effect. That means if there are two goods, similar ones, one is becoming expensive and the other is even more expensive, then the good that is becoming expensive will be bought because the other is prohibitive. Now, India could benefit from that, but the only major hope for India in the long term is that deal, is the economic deal, the FTA that America and India are working on.
So
That
this
may take 7
escalation and these hostilities have intensified as far as when it comes to first they were tariffs, then they were reciprocal tariffs, then there was retaliation to the reciprocal tariffs, and now there have been sweeping tariffs that have now been imposed on the US by China for missing the deadline. As Srinjoy continues to be with us, we talk about what exactly started in February this year by the US President Donald Trump is now being countered in equal measures by the dragon. And this has got the world on the edge. Sample this. In February, the US imposed 10% tariff on China. China hit back with countermeasures. Then in March, Trump doubled the tariff to 20%. China retaliated with additional 15%. Now in April Liberation Day on the 2nd of April, Trump announces 54% tariff on China. China retaliates with 34% hike. Markets across the world have crashed, but they couldn't stop this tariff war. Now Trump has also threatened as far as additional 50% tariff is concerned if China doesn't withdraw the 34% previous retaliation. China meanwhile vows to fight till the end, calling it as a mistake on the top of a mistake that the US seems to be doing.
And other countries are coming in. With China, as you know, against my statement, they put a 34% tariff on above what their ridiculous tariffs were already. And I said, if that tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on. So they've gone for years. They've become a rich country because of people, again, that were in the White House that allowed this to happen. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year they're making us on trade, and it shouldn't be that way. And I have a great relationship with President Xi. I hope it's going to stay that way. I have great respect for China, but they can't do this. We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do this, what I'm doing. And I'll tell you what, it's an honor to do it because we have been just destroyed, what they've done to our system. You know, we have $36 trillion of debt for a reason.
Now, tariff wars as it is escalated after imposing retaliatory tariffs. Trump's indirect attack has now coming for China, where Trump has said that nations have taken undue advantage of the United States and several nations have ripped the US off. And not only this, Trump has also launched this attack, and he says that it's an amazing thing as far as tariffs are concerned. And this is something that has been used against us for many years by many countries, China in particular, but others as well, not just China, who have taken advantage of the United States. They have ripped us off and has left us dead, frankly, where he believes that as a president, he needs to work out problems like this, and they have never had before. And he says that it's a privilege that make America wealthy again is a dream that he has along with the other citizens of the United States.
It's an amazing thing. This has been something used against us for many years by other countries, China in particular, but others, not just China, others, and taken advantage of us, ripped us off, and left us for dead, frankly. And I believe if I didn't become your president, I believe that this country would have had problems like they've never had before.